Hi everybody, this is Agnes from No Sediment, and today let's see what 36,200 hours of being a professional sommelier has taught me. I am a wine professional with 17 years of experience in the wine industry. I started my wine journey at age of 18 as a wine waiter, and since then I have worked in restaurants, for wine importer, distributor, and as a wine educator. Early on, I realized I was interested in wine as a beverage more than in any other drink. And as many others in the industry, I started my journey with self-study. While some sommeliers choose to participate in competitions, I find it too stressful. I vividly recall one of the first times I made it to sommelier competition finals. I went to the bar and ordered a grappa to calm my nerves. I had the shot, yet it didn't help. On the stage, I was still with shaky hands. As a result, I decided to strengthen my theoretical knowledge and currently am studying in Masters of Wine program. Along the way, I have drawn certain conclusions and have had many revelations, and today I want to share them with you. So whether you are wine enthusiast or professional in the industry, here are 5 lessons I have learned over the years. Tasting is a skill that can be learned, and I would say even more than that. For tasting, theory matters as much, if not more so, than the tasting itself. Let's start with the theory part. To achieve the ultimate goal of being able to blind taste wines and identify the grape variety, origin, and possibly even the vintage, you simply must know the theory. Where the specific grapes are grown, what is the typical characteristics of each grape, and what was the vintage like, and so on. There is no good taster out there without a solid foundation in theory. But of course, theory must be complemented with the tasting itself, and practice makes it perfect. Simply drinking wine is not enough. You need to pay close attention to its characteristics and each time use the same methodology to evaluate its structural elements, quality, and style. They will give you great foundation for building your conclusions. And in many cases, even with all this knowledge and practice, educated guesses are necessary for even the most experienced tasters, as it can be quite challenging to identify origin, grape variety, or even the vintage. For what it's worth, I consider aroma to be the most seductive characteristic of wine. I can spend a lot of time just sniffing the glass of wine. In fact, I once had an amazing bottle of back vintage Pfalz Riesling that was emptied while I was still nosing it. It was that captivating. But wine also offers structural elements that together with aroma and taste create this overall sensory experience. And it's almost strange that 2 wines can be so similar on paper, same alcohol level, same acidity, residual sugar, aged in oak barrels or on lees for the same amount of time, yet they taste completely different and show completely different levels of quality. One can be easy to drink and easy to forget, while others shows tension, energy. It sticks to your palate, never leaves, showing this depth on the aftertaste. Yes, wine is definitely more than just its taste. But we can also go beyond that. Wine is also a history, tradition, and it mirrors the beliefs of its winemaker. Therefore, there are wines that some critics say should not be evaluated in the blind tasting, otherwise they lose their context. For example, champagne critic Essie Avalon says that Jacques Sellos, the famous champagne, should always be tasted knowing the label, because in blind tasting this wine can be easily misunderstood. Wine is subjective, or should I say our taste is subjective. And any sommelier, in fact, any friend or family member should respect our preferences in wine just as we respect others' preferences in food. I come from a country where drinking dry wines is considered classy, and people are often surprised when I say in my master classes that good quality sweet wines are in fact amongst the most expensive wines. They are rare, and most of them can outlive majority of red and white wines. Therefore, if you like sweet wine, then enjoy it, and don't allow anyone to shame you if you don't happen to like Sangiovese or Chenin Blanc. That's fine. We each have our own taste, and in fact that taste also changes over the time. This, however, is a bit different with wine critics. They should be as objective as possible about wine's quality and leave any comments about their preferences outside of the judging, as I'm sure many of them do. Pairing wine and food is bogus. Well, maybe not completely, because there are some rules worth following. And there are some rules that can enhance your overall experience with food and wine. However, we are all different in the way we perceive food and in the way we perceive wine, including those who study wine. We have different sensitivities to a range of elements in food and wine, and also how these elements react with each other on our palate. I mean, one drinks espresso, the others prefer cappuccino or latte, while some people don't drink coffee at all because it is simply too bitter. There is no way for one person to have the same experience with food and wine pairing in the same way I do or anyone else. For example, we often hear that fish should be served with white wine. Simple reason for this rule is that fish oil interacting with tannins found in red wine will often leave an unpleasant metallic aftertaste on your palate. However, those who don't have very sensitive palate might not even notice it. So why shouldn't they drink red wine with fish if they wish so? Therefore, I do pay attention to food and wine pairing, but not nearly as much as I used to. Stay sexy and humble, and this goes out to everyone, including sommeliers themselves. The wine world is ever-changing and complex, and one must keep learning constantly to keep up with it. For sommeliers out there, I want to say that clients can sometimes know more about specific wine or wine in general, especially if they have traveled well and visited wineries. Therefore, never allow yourself to be too confident or snobby. For other wine lovers and enthusiasts like me, I want to say that wine world can often seem too closed, fancy and uninviting, as it appears that only the chosen few get to know and truly enjoy it. I hope that this will change in the future as well, and it is in our power to change it. So these are just some of the lessons I have learned during my nearly 2 decades as a wine professional. And as I grow as a professional and individual, my views may change. And just to clarify, the number of hours in the title of this video is just a rough estimate of the time I actually spent in the wine industry over the years, outside of time spent sleeping, eating, and walking my dog. And I loved every minute of it. Before I started my Master of Wine Studies, I had to finish WSET diploma. And here's a video of my experience in WSET and whether or not that's something for you.